I have the opportunity tomorrow night to go to the Women's Institute in Streatham.
Whoa, the Women's Institute.
All I'm saying for now is, I have the opportunity. They're laughing at me a lot in one of my groups because I'm saying I have the opportunity. I haven't committed to going. It's in my diary with a question mark next to it. But I might. It is an opportunity.
It's an opportunity to buy some fantastic jam and sponge cake. That's what it is.
Well, I think that's a cliche, to be honest. I don't think there's much jam or sponge cake in the Streatham because it's very urban. I don't know that we do that. We have a book club in the Streatham one, and it takes place up the Bowls Club. But it does look like they're a bunch of women half my age. So if I go, I'll let you know how I get on.
Yeah, because my nanny was a leading light in the Worthing Women's Institute. She really was.
Well, it's been completely revamped. It's not what we thought it was at all. It's not even what we thought it was in Calendar Girls, if you remember, where they got their kit off.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that. Yeah. It's changed. It reflects women in 2015 these days.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show. What's your week been about then, Judith?
Well, I think we should start with yours since you've been away on holiday.
I have. Been in Greece for a week. It was absolutely fabulous. It was a heat wave. 40 degrees in the shade at 8 p.m. Oh, it was hot. And no Wi-Fi to speak of. My dongle didn't work. It took several attempts at trying to speak to 3 in England and tweet them furiously. And then it didn't really get a signal up in the house we were in anyway. And the Taverna Wi-Fis were free, but they were all overloaded. So the best we could do was upload pictures. That was all we could do, and text. But it was fantastic. I did absolutely nothing to do with work for an entire week.
Which is in itself quite an achievement for you.
It is, yes, because normally I'm very busily, running around looking at properties and cooking up schemes and things. But Phoebe led the way with her marvellous demonstration of how to do absolutely nothing for an entire week.
Very good, very good.
And it was just great. I read books, I swam. I mean, the swimming was great, Judith. You'd loved it. Turquoise sea and clear water and hot sand. It was perfect. So
I've seen all the pictures. It looks absolutely idyllic.
Yes, it was lovely. And it hasn't changed at all in 25 years, and all the people are still there and they remember you. I don't understand how they can remember you. The last time I was there was 5 years ago, and the time before that was about another 3 years before that. So
I think that's nice, though. I mean, actually, they know their business. That's what that means.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what about you then? What have you been up to?
So what I did the weekend before last, Nicola,
Come on then.
was what you've just been doing. I had a taste of the good life. It was sunny in England. It was blissful. It was peace and quiet. I just spent the weekend reading, doing nothing, nothing to do and nothing hanging over me. And if we'd had this conversation 2 weeks ago, you'd say, I don't understand how you do nothing, but you've just had an experience of doing nothing. So yay, we both know how to do it now, which is great.
And you know what? I'm going to practice harder at doing nothing.
I saw that. Yeah. I saw that. Yes. I mean, that was the weekend before last, as you know, because you got back last weekend. It's done nothing but rain since then. But the weekend before was when you were away was gorgeous.
Oh, lovely.
Not 40 degrees, but lovely English summer.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is. I mean, that coming back, and the mozzies, of course. We won't go into the mozzies too much, but suffice to say they were fierce, and we actually had an infestation which involved the Greek pest control people coming and giving everyone tablets to put down their toilets so that the septic tank would get purged of
Ah,
mozzies.
yes.
You
Yeah,
know,
very nice. Yes. On my Caribbean island, they do this thing they call fogging.
fogging. What's that then?
Yeah, well, I think they come around and fog you, with like, I don't know what it is, but something that, fog. Insecticide, fogging.
Oh, okay.
Like when you're in the plane, they squirt you sometimes, don't they?
Do they?
Yes. Have you not been squirted in a plane? People sometimes on a plane, a trolley dolly walks through with 2 spray cans, one in each hand, and sprays. Maybe I've been to more tropical countries than you have.
Yeah, blimey, I haven't been
Yes.
sprayed at all.
And there's a fierce type of mosquito there's lots of different types of mosquitoes. We won't make this the mosquito show. How about that?
No, but you know what? We the only television show we had was Sky News International or BBC News International. Of course, BBC was far superior, so that was on most of the time. But they did actually say that someone has developed a vaccine for malaria, which is effective 30% of the time. So it's going to make
30%. Sorry, I don't understand. 30% of the time.
Yeah, it's the first ever vaccine that's been developed that works against a parasite in the blood. So it's a massive breakthrough in terms of medical technology.
You mean after you've got it, they can inject you?
No, it's to prevent you getting it. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on very small babies, but it does work on toddlers upwards, and it works 30% of the time. So although 60% of people will still get bitten and will still get malaria, 30% of people. So it's like a cumulative compounding effect of the more people that are in the 30%, the less likely a mozzie is to land on someone who's got malaria and spread it. So it's reducing the number of malaria-infested bodies.
Yes.
Bodies have got
that just makes you realise that life is even more of a potluck than you had imagined. Because, if you're in the 30%, great. If you're in the 60%, might be better for future generations. I don't think that's very impressive, 30%, to be honest, but I agree it's better than nothing.
But the main point was the breakthrough that they've never developed a vaccine for a blood-borne parasite before. So, they interviewed the man. I mean, it's amazing what you end up watching when there's nothing else.
Yeah.
And I actually did find it very interesting, all these stories from around the world that you'd never have heard of otherwise. And the man was nearly in tears. He was so proud of 30 years of work. It was amazing.
Yes. Okay. Well, better than nothing. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So when you're worried about, just one last question on the topic of mosquitoes, when you're worried about mozzies, and I know it's the zzz that you don't like more than the fear of, are you worried about getting malaria?
No.
No. Good.
I just don't like the noise. I don't like insect noises generally.
Yeah. Okay.
So no, I'm not bothered about malaria. It's just the Phoebe got some monster bites. Even Mr. Watson, who said he was completely impervious to mosquito bites, by the end of it had counted 30.
Well, they do say if you take vitamin B before you go away for about 6 weeks, and up your intake of garlic and or Marmite, same thing. I don't like Marmite myself, but I could eat more garlic. They say that as soon as you become acclimatized and start expelling the smells of somebody who eats more garlic or vitamin B or Marmite, the mozzies don't like that.
We were working on the garlic and the quinine effect in tonic.
Yes. Well, I think the quinine effect in tonic these days is quite small, but nice idea, Nicola.
Yeah, it was very good. And can I just recommend gin and tonic with not only limes but a slice of cucumber in?
Oh yes, I did see that you were all going excited about that.
Gives it a nice herbal taste, which makes it feel medicinal. So what's fueled your fire this week then?
Oh, well, I've been reading a couple of books about luck. You've probably read Richard Wiseman's The Luck Factor, the scientific study of the lucky mind. Do you remember that one?
I don't know if I have read that, but I've read
that's quite interesting. He actually does a proper study of, lucky people, what makes lucky people lucky. And he gets it down to 3 things. They're more likely than unlucky people to create, notice, and act upon opportunities. They do this in various ways. They initiate conversations with more people because they're extroverts.
Yes.
More people start to chat to them because of their social magnetism. And they're good at keeping in touch with people. Lucky people are also more relaxed than unlucky people, and this makes them more able to notice unexpected chance opportunities in various different aspects in their lives. And finally, lucky people also introduce more variety and new experiences into their lives, And this also helps to increase the likelihood of them experiencing and maximising chance opportunities. So there's a study, a proper study here about, okay, this person's lucky, that person's not, and he gives good examples of why people are and why people aren't. And then he examines how do the lucky people live their lives differently. And explains it in this book so that we can all learn how to be luckier. And I read another one called How to Be Lucky by Matt Kinsella, which wasn't as useful, actually. He basically says there are two sorts of luck. One just happens naturally to you, and you make the other one by what you see, what you do, what you believe, and what actions you take, which I think is probably closer to what most people understand. But so I've been doing a study, and you'll discover why later, of luck.
Fascinating. And also, one of my favourite books of all time, Learned Optimism by Martin Seligman. He talks about lucky people in that. And it's, he did a study that shows that optimistic people tend to think of themselves as lucky and tend to have more lucky things happen to them because they're optimistic. And all the reasons just outlined, I think, as well.
Yes. And actually the middle one on Richard Wiseman's there about being more relaxed. They actually sort of did tests where they sort of dropped cash on the pavement, and busy, stressed people didn't notice it, and relaxed, laid back people had the time to see it.
Yeah, that's nice, isn't it?
It is nice.
Yeah, we know what we would say, wouldn't we, if we found some cash on the pavement?
I'm a money magnet. I am.
Exactly, Judy.
And we learned that, I'll tell you when we learned that, in the Giants Stadium in New Jersey in December 2005.
And I taught it to my daughter. She said, whenever she finds money, she says, I'm a money magnet, mummy.
Well, you could be very lucky at the airport as well. Do you remember T. Harvecker taught us that? When people are taking off their belts and shoes and wallets and laptops at the what do you call that, at the airport, lots of money falls out of people's pockets. And if you look under the tables there, you could be quite a good money magnet. What's fueled your fire, Nicola?
Do you know what, Judith? Our podcast has topped 1,000 downloads in a month.
Oh, in a month?
In a month.
Oh, that's exciting.
I know, we've been edging up to it for a while, but I just looked at the stats yesterday and we got 1,000 downloads last month. Because, we had that little patch. We were up on a steep upward slope with our downloads.
Yes.
And then something happened with the iTunes algorithm and everyone was complaining about their downloads dropping. And then when that went in public that there had been a problem with the algorithm, that's when everything started improving again. And we're on a steep upward slope again. And that means, just think about that for a second, that means 250 people a week are downloading and hopefully listening to this podcast right now.
Well, if that's you, beloved, I'm very proud of you and welcome. And I tell you what, Nicola, lots more people have been liking our page as well. I don't know if you've noticed that.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I'm not doing my own social media at the moment, but I'm sure that Inga has paid attention to that. I'm hiring someone to do my social. I still dip in and out of Twitter, and I'm very active on Facebook, as you've seen, but I just can't cope with the syndication of everything, and so I've hired someone to make sure that everything gets shared everywhere. And so that possibly that could have helped the download numbers. You never know, because she's very aggressive about promoting Own It. So that's good. But it's just so encouraging, isn't it, that we've started from nothing, just chatting once a week, and now 250 people a week are listening. It could be the same 250 people. It could be a different 250 people. Who knows? Who cares? We love them all.
I don't think it matters whether it's the new or the old. It's just lovely. It's nice to know that what you're doing is being enjoyed.
Yeah, and we'd love for anyone who's listening to come to ownitthepodcast.com and either use the little widget and to leave us a message and tell us, what you like about it, what you'd like us to change, how we could help you. Do you have a client challenge we could address it one week? Or just, comment in the comments under the episode if you don't want to leave a voicemail. We'd love to hear some voicemails, wouldn't we, Judith? Because we'd love to play them on the show. A word from our sponsors. This podcast is sponsored by clicksandleads.com. Clicksandleads.com believe in affordable traffic and leads for everyone. They'll set up your Facebook ad campaign, page likes, leads or remarketing, then they'll manage it for you. They'll even split test your ads and audiences to find the best performing ones. Game-changing marketing from clicksandleads.com. Right, client challenge of the week time.
Okay, so this is quite a strange one. There was a debate about 10 days ago in one of my groups about following up. So something nice happens to you. You go to a breakfast networking meeting, you meet a person, they come and have an experience of you. They say it's lovely, but they don't join up to anything that you're offering. Do you follow up with them once? Yes. Do you follow up with them twice? Possibly. At what point does following up constitute chasing? And as you know, when you start to chase people, they run away from you.
Yeah.
So following up is today's topic. What's the right way to do following up, if there can be said to be any such thing? Now, I know your answer will be it's all automated. But if somebody approaches you for, say, to spend, I don't know, 1,000 a month on clicks and leads, what sort of following up do you do there if they go cold on you?
I qualify people hard before I talk to them. So let's take it back further. I did quite a bit of networking when I was getting off the ground again. And if I met someone out who I felt was a potential client or I could help in some way, I would always follow up. And I would usually follow up in the form of sending a link to an article, a book recommendation, a link to a blog post I'd written, something that really was relevant to what we've been talking about. But that's as far as I'd take it, because I'd figure that if they followed that link and then they came to the website and they put their name and email in, they would get followed up by my autoresponder sequence.
Yes.
Actually, I have a bit of a dilemma about that at the moment, because everyone who goes to clicksandleads.com is a different kind of client to the people who come to, say, Business Success Factory or Clicks, Leads and Sales or Cairncross.com. They tend to be people looking for coaching. So they get what they've signed up for, and then they get a little follow-up sequence of about 4 or 5 emails, perhaps up to 7. But then they all go into the big main funnel where they get lots of stuff about business success and marketing online, and it's all quite random and varied. So I do have a little bit of a challenge in the fact that I'm not sure that business people particularly are getting the right kind of follow-up as people who are interested in coaching, perhaps.
Yes.
But then when someone books into my diary, they have to book in. They have to answer a few questions like, what's your website URL? What's your how do you think I can help? What's your biggest challenge in your marketing? That sort of thing. And
Yes.
I can tell from the answers whether they're going to be a good fit. For example, someone didn't turn up yesterday because she signed up to speak to me, but then she got a series of short follow-up emails that outlined who I can best serve and who is not appropriate for me to work with. So I think she just didn't turn up because she recognised herself perhaps in that. So I'm qualifying quite hard all the time.
Yes.
So I don't have that experience very often of spending half an hour with someone who has got no intention of buying.
No, I think the distinction here is quite subtle. Is following up with somebody is nice. The moment you start to go into chasing, I think when you chase people, they run away from you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes you feel bad too. Attraction marketing is much more nice feeling than.
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because the next line I've written is allowing clients to come to you when the time is right. And what I was thinking of was several memorable clients we had together in the Money Gym who read your Seaside Landlady newsletter for like 7 years before becoming a client. I think Claire Westwood, the Happy Nurse, was one of them. I remember another lady, Frankie, who wanted to pay off her credit cards before she started to work with us, and that took her 5 years or something, maybe even longer, 7 years. I think when the time is right for the client, if they've had a great experience with you either online or off, they'll come.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's difficult when you're building a business, isn't it? Because you want to be. I mean, I definitely feel that I've wanted to be more proactive, which is why I've been, searching different ways of doing outbound marketing, which is where you advertise and then, but our follow-up, well, your follow-up is very good, because if people come into your sphere of influence on say social media, they're going to see you quite a lot. And then you do a weekly, fortnightly newsletter, don't you? So people do get followed up, even though it's not automated like mine is.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, when they think of follow-up, they don't have those systems in place. So they feel they have to then chase any new contact who might become a client. So I would definitely encourage people to put really gentle automated systems in place where you're delivering value and reminding people about you. Then you don't have to do the physical follow-up.
Yes, that's good thinking. Yes, I think the thing about a newsletter or something like that that people see is it is a little nudgy reminder,
Yeah.
quite subtle sometimes, and less subtle at other times. And I think if people keep on receiving it and keep on opening it and keep on engaging with it, the day will come when the offer is everything comes together. They're ready, they've got the money, and the offer is right. Now, that's the way I do it, as you know. But I mean, I did an induction yesterday, and the lady had said in the email in advance that she thought it was odds on that we would work together unless it turned out on the call. She didn't say the second half. She inferred unless it turned out on the call that I was, Godzilla or something. We got on like a house on fire. At the end of it, I said, "So are we going to work together or what then?" "I think we are, don't you?" I mean, there's no follow-up required for that because we've already decided we're going to do it. So I think it's interesting when there are people in the world, as we know. I think tire kicker is probably a bit strong a term. People who, take what you're offering on the free side, say it's lovely, but never pay you any money. And I think that's the sort of person my client was thinking about in this following up. How often do you follow up was the question. And I think I would probably say to my clients now, go inside and ask your body, have you done enough? If you've done enough, leave it to them.
Yeah, and I because I wanted to be more professional about follow up, because sometimes with clicks and leads I get people who I have the call with and they say, oh, it's not right now, but it definitely will be in September.
Yeah.
I've started using a little bit of software that we've talked about on this show before called Close.io.
Yes.
And that is really a simple bit of software. I'm looking at it right now. It boots up every time I turn my computer on, and it just when you basically put in the opportunity of how much a new prospect might be worth to you, and then you say when you're how confident you are that that person's going to become a client, and then you say okay, well they said to get in touch in September, and it tracks it coordinates all your calls and your emails with that person, so they're all gathered together in one place. So the physical having the financial value of that person in front of you reminds you that you should do a bit of follow-up, and it also reminds you what your last bit of follow-up was. So if you sent an email to that person, it brings it into this software. I find that just nudges me to be a little bit more proactive when the time comes.
Yes.
When they said, and all I will do is just send them an email. I wouldn't ever call anyone. I've got a phone with the phone, as you know, so I'll just send them an email saying, you mentioned you'd like to think about this again now. These are the new developments that might benefit your business in Facebook advertising, and I was something very casual like that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to let people slip away just because of my memory.
No, I know what you mean by that. So there is I think the distinction here is following up versus chasing. If you've done enough of sort of light touch stuff, so somebody says September. If somebody said to me September, I might say, actually I did say to the lady yesterday, well, the price goes up on the 1st of September, so as long as you get in by the 31st of August, you're all right. And she took the point very much. Yeah. And I will mark it throughout August saying the price is going up on the 1st of September, and that's a nice nudge for everybody. But, all potential clients are grown-ups. But if they've said September, I think one little reminder that you said September and it's now September is perfectly lovely, actually, don't you?
Yeah, I love being reminded of things that I said I would do, because half the time I've forgotten.
Yes. I remember one of my clients who I don't think listens to the podcast, but she came up with this. Some of my clients occasionally come up with these expressions that are so good they become immortalised. And one of them was, we sent one more email than we were comfortable with, and that was the one that we got most sign-ups from. So we use this expression now about have you asked one more time than you're comfortable with. And one of my other clients practiced this, borrowing this idea from client number one. And she was, how clients can often feel that, reminding people or sending 7 emails or whatever it is can be bombarding. And she said she got as many emails from people that said, thank you so much for continuing to remind me. I don't know where my head's been at. I wouldn't have remembered if you hadn't. The world is a strange old place, Nicola. One person's follow-up is a reminder.
Absolutely. And I get emails at least once a week from someone saying, "What the hell are you doing? Why are you sending me an email every few days? You know, if
Yes.
I know where you are, if I need you, I'll." And I thought, well, why did you put your name and email in on my website?
Yes. Because I don't think they understand what they're going to get, do they?
No. But I always put my name and email in on websites I want to be reminded of, because
Yes.
I know that I'm not going to ever remember to come back to that website unless they start sending me emails full of valuable stuff.
Yes, I think actually if they see my email in their inbox, even if they don't open it, it's still a reminder, isn't it? Because,
Yeah.
oh, look, there's another email from Judith. Eventually I'll be ready to work with her.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is important, and I think the way you do it's important, and you need to find a way to do it that makes you feel comfortable and not feel like you're chasing people, because
Yeah, and I don't think you have to pester people to the death either.
there's a good book. I've got a couple of good resources for this, actually.
Well, good. Good.
There's one book called. No, I can't remember what it's called. My memory is shocking. It will come back to me, and I will send it to you. In fact, I'll look in my newly tidied cupboard and send the link to you, Judith. And it's about how to psychologically position yourself right, so that you feel confident and you feel that the client is gonna get value out of working with you. And so it's it's a very good book for all that psychological stuff, especially if people are uncomfortable with the set marketing and selling process. So that's a great resource. And the other thing is, of course, if you don't mind a bit of bad language, go and watch Stelly FT, who talks about follow-up quite a lot in his online videos. So just do a search for Stelly FT on YouTube and be prepared to, for the language. But he talks about follow-up quite a lot, and how important it is, and how you're doing your clients a disservice if you don't follow up.
I'm just going to spell Stelly FT because I've put him in the notes recently so often I'm not going to put him in again today. STELIEFTI. So you tell me your word of the week.
Well, I'm afraid I'm going to revisit a word. Are we allowed to do that on this?
Oh, I don't know. Let me hear the word and then I'll let you know.
It's focus. We do talk.
Tell me why we're revisiting focus.
Well, because I'm paring back everything, as you know, and I'm also trying to work less, and I've rejigged my diary, and I've got this nagging thing about my membership site, because one side of the business is flying like a train; it's just going crazy, but the one side of the business that isn't, it's just sort of ambling along, as it were, is the membership area where I do the coaching and I've got all my trainings and things. And I'm pretty sure it's suffering from my lack of focus on it, but I can't decide whether I should focus on it or whether I should just focus on the big business that's going to take me where I want to go. But I still feel uncomfortable as an entrepreneur having just one focus. It's an entrepreneur's trap, isn't it? Lack of focus. Because
I was when I was listening to you, I was thinking, I wonder why she's bothering with that membership site at all. Why doesn't she just stick to her big thing that she wants to make into a multi-million jobber?
Because it's scary just having the one thing. It's like a form of insurance.
Yeah, but Nicola, you're brave. You can do that.
But I mean,
two things is the antithesis of focus to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not really focused on the membership site, to be fair. But it's like an itch that I can't scratch and it won't go away.
Well, let's just keep it in mind. If you haven't scratched it in a month, you could bin it.
I'm not going to bin it. I've paid a lot of money to get it set up properly, so I'm not.
Oh, yes, that's true. You did. Yes.
I could just. I think I'll just ignore it, apart from dipping in and answering people's questions and things. But it's the marketing of it. I'm not marketing it at all, and that's niggling at me. Yeah. But I'm trying to focus. What's your word of the week then?
I'm going for opportunity, which came out of my reading about luck. It's really a question of just recalibrating so that you see it everywhere. And in a minute, when we get to the next two sections, I'm going to tell you more about opportunity and ones that have come my way. And I have the opportunity tomorrow night to go to the Women's Institute in Streatham.
What? The Women's Institute.
All I'm saying for now is I have the opportunity. They're laughing at me a lot in one of my groups because I'm saying I have the opportunity. I haven't committed to going. It's in my diary with a question mark next to it. But I might. It is an opportunity.
It's an opportunity to buy some fantastic jam and sponge cake. That's what it is.
Well, I think that's a cliche, to be honest. I don't think there's much jam or sponge cake in the Streatham because it's very urban. I don't know that we do that. We have a book club in the Streatham one, and it takes place up the Bowls Club. So, but it does look like there are a bunch of women half my age. So if I go, I'll let you know how I get on.
Yeah, because my nanny was a leading light in the Worthing Women's Institute. She really was.
Well, it's been completely revamped. It's not what we thought it was at all. It's not even what we thought it was in Calendar Girls, if you remember, where they got their kit off.
Yeah,
I don't know if you saw that. Yeah. It's changed. It reflects women in 2015 these days.
So, I'm dying to know why you're so focused on luck and opportunity and all that stuff, and I'm sure you're going to do that in the project reporting section, which is where we're up.
I am. We are. Shall I go first?
Yes, go on then.
Well, while you were away, we did eventually have launch day.
Oh,
yes. However, it didn't go as expected. So historically, I've been in a pre-launch phase. I can now announce that I'm in a soft launch phase, and you'll remember that we thought it would be on the 14th of July, and it was delayed by a week to the 21st of July, by which time you were away. And we were somewhat disappointed to discover when it launched, i.e. the website went live, that it wouldn't be properly live until the 15th of September.
Oh, God.
So, delayed, I don't know what you call that, delayed gratification, which is entrepreneurs are not particularly good at. So it's on again, off again, which is frustrating and has led me to diversify, because you'll remember that that particular project is vaguely networking. And a very similar one has come to me, which can be done 100% online, which in many respects is more attractive because it means I wouldn't have to go to the Streatham WI. And both of them are in the lottery. So the first one is scratch cards. I can tell you that now because the website's live. And the second one is in the lottery, both of which could be said to be about luck. They're certainly about odds. And Emma and I, my partner from the cleaning business, we've been dabbling for 3 weeks in online sports trading, which is 100% passive and done for you. And now we've become students of matched betting. Do you know what matched betting is?
No, I don't. And I am a sporting woman, as you know.
You are going to love matched betting because there's no gambling involved. You are going to love it when I show it to you, because it's a website from a guy who put himself through university in the UK doing this. You take up all of the free bets offered as incentives by the online gambling websites, Coral and Betfred and Paddy Power and Ladbrokes and all of that. They offer free bets to incentivize people to come and use their websites and spend money there. And you bet on one site using their free bet, and you match the bet on another site. So you play to win and you play to lose, and of course you're going to win one of those. And because you've used your free bet to do it, you've won the free money.
It's a bit like where the stock market, when they when they buy a stock, they also then buy the option to buy the stock if the price goes down.
Well, I tell you, when I come down to lunch, Mr. Watson's going to love it because it's free to do it initially. And Emma, my business partner in the cleaning business, is exactly the same profile as him, Lord Accumulator. She went off like a rocket yesterday following the first video and indeed made a profit on her first bet as predicted. And what he does, this boy, he's 23, 24, 25, and the system is just flawless. He gives you a free access. He's got 3 levels of membership, actually 2 levels of memberships. One is free, and the other 2 levels are pay monthly or pay annually. And the free one makes you enough money to pay the first month of his membership.
Nice.
Gorgeous.
So clever children are terrifying, aren't they?
Well, he went through university doing it. Anyway, the point about this story is this is why I'm doing a study of luck and how to be lucky and odds. There's a fantastic programme on BBC at the moment you should watch if you're interested in this at all. It's called Britain at the Bookies. And you missed one episode while you were away, and then Monday night was the second episode. There's a third one next week. Fascinating, the psychology of gambling and betting. Britons love it. You know, horse racing is in my DNA from my grandparents and my parents. I used to go to the races when I was a child. I love a flutter. I'm not addicted to it. And interestingly, the matched betting one, you're not even gambling.
Because you're hedging yourself at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, I said to Emma, who's not a gambler at all, you know, you're going to have to keep me out of the gambling area, because once I've got 50 online gambling sites. I mean, I use my Ladbrokes account to bet on the Grand National once a year. That's the extent of my betting. But I think if you had these websites open once a day, every day, you might occasionally go, oh, I think I'll have a punt on the 3:30 at Chepstow or something. Do you know what I mean? So I think you could get sucked into it accidentally. The sports trading one is 100% done for us, and it's just like the stock market. And as you know, it's the same as Forex as well. As you know, you lose more than you win, but when you win big.
Yeah, it's interesting because I play poker a lot, as you know.
Yeah,
But I have a very low tolerance for I've got a very low tolerance level for threshold for losing money. I'll go to the casino and I'll spend X amount on the evening, but I don't mind losing that amount if I've had a great night out. But I wouldn't ever go past what I think a great night out.
I totally know what you mean. When we were little and my grandparents used to take us to the races, I don't know if you can even remember one of these. They used to give us a 10 bob note each. Do you remember a 10 bob note? 10 shillings.
I vaguely remember it. Yeah.
Yeah, they used to give us 10, and once that had gone, it had gone, and sometimes we would win and sometimes we wouldn't. But anyway, the point of this story is, my word of the week was opportunity. And since I've been footling about in my MLM thing, which maybe has launched, maybe hasn't launched, who knows, and there's an awful lot of problems to iron out as yet, diversification opportunities have come my way. So not just MLM, but internet marketing, sports trading, and match betting. Who knew? But anyway, tell us about that's mine. Tell me about yours.
Well, I've attracted my first client from my own Facebook ads. And he's an Australian property company.
Yes, I knew that. You told us a bit about him before. Yeah.
But, it was interesting because I rocked up at, my alarm went off yesterday morning, so I was absolutely still quite knackered from the travelling. And my alarm went off at 9:15, and I thought, I've got an appointment at 9 o'clock. Or he booked that 3 weeks ago. He probably won't turn up. But I dragged myself downstairs, and there he was, bright as a button, ready to talk on video, which wasn't great for me. And then by the end of, a discussion about, what we could do for him and how his business works, he just signed up on the spot for my top level package. And he said, I see you're now requiring a 3-month commitment in advance. And I said, yes. And he said, great, no problem. And, so from me thinking that my own Facebook ads weren't working and then investing a bit more money in them and thinking, that I had to be seen to be doing them, I've actually... this client is worth a minimum of $8,000 and possibly $14,000 over the year. So now it's paid for my expenditure in my own advertising and much more. So that's a really nice situation, really. And
I tell you what I like about what you just said. He said, I think we only discussed this a week or two ago. He said to you, I see you're now requiring a 3-month commitment. And actually, the more tough we are with the conditions that we put in place, the more we attract the ideal client.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the clients yesterday, I actually offered her a money back because she was having, I still am experiencing this thing where, the ads start rolling, the click costs are a bit high, the lead costs are a bit high, and they panic, and they think that's how it's going to be ongoing, and it isn't. Yeah. It always comes down. But the first two weeks, is when Facebook's getting the data and finding more people to show the ads to and things. But this is a problem point in the client journey. And the only way I've thought of to overcome it is to say 3 months minimum and pay all the 3 months up front. And that's it. Yeah. You've got to commit. Because that is how long it might take to get you
leads. Yes, and I think it's just as well that people know that. You're managing people's expectations.
Yeah, because they were reading it on the website. I was telling them in the calls, but it wasn't sinking in that it would take several weeks to get a cheap click and lead cost. But so that was nice. And it really reinforced my belief that there were clients out there who would work on that basis. And it also reinforced my belief that they will come from a cold ad that they've just seen. He couldn't even remember how he found me, but it must have been, he's in Australia. I don't know. I don't know that many people in Australia. It must have been from one of the ads. Who or what's impressed then?
I'm not going to name this couple by name, but there's a couple further up the chain in the networking launch thing who have worked really hard over the last. They've been it since February, and they take the role of a leader because they're growing a big team, and I'm underneath them. I don't know whether I'm directly underneath them. I don't know, but I am in their sphere of influence. And when our thing launched last week but didn't launch, with this long period of time between now and the 15th of September where we have to wait, which was a disappointment because we thought we were all going to be having fun last week, they've taken the brunt of everybody's disappointment. Now, it was immediately obvious that the soft launch was pretty inadequate. There were quite a lot of things that needed tidying up at head office, and so this couple bore the brunt of a lot of complaints, some of which have been very ugly, a lot of panic, a lot of fear, a lot of bad mouthing without any evidence, a lot of allegations of it's a scam and that sort of thing. And it reminded me, they've got their son's wedding this week, so it's not a great week for them to be having a bit of a disappointment and a lot of slagging off in Facebook. But they've been elegant in adversity.
Yeah.
You know, not everything goes right all of the time. And the true measure of someone is how they behave when it all appears to be going wrong. And it reminded me of Rudyard Kipling's if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. Oh boy, has that been what this couple have experienced this week. They've had to keep their head when everybody else has lost theirs and when everybody else was blaming it on them. So I'm impressed by this couple who shall remain nameless to protect their privacy, but they've been elegant in adversity.
Oh, that's really nice, isn't it? And I mean, they must have had the same fears and worries as everyone else, but...
Well, when you're a leader, you've got to manage it, haven't you?
Yeah, you have.
For yourself and for your team.
Yeah, and it's yes, it is tough sometimes, but you can't. I mean, I can't remember who was talking about this recently on a podcast, but yeah, they were saying that you've got to keep a grip, because if you lose it, then everyone underneath you will lose it as well.
Absolutely, and all of these, everything I've talked about today, everything is a market, and markets are based on confidence.
Yes, and fear and greed sways them up.
Yeah, well, I've got fear and greed written down here. I didn't actually say that, but it's exactly right, fear and greed.
Yeah. Well, what's impressed me is the business owners and the workers in Stupa, because I haven't been back for 5 years, and I can see the business owners are not only still working their asses off, but they're reinvesting in for example, the loos have all been upgraded in the tavernas, and now the Paralos Beach Bar has umbrellas with sunbeds with buttons on where you can press the button and call for a drink, and across the boiling hot sand runs a lithe young man, to take your order, and then he goes up to the bar, and then he brings, and that involves a bit of a climb up some steps and things. When you think it's 40 degrees in the shade at 8 p.m, imagine what it must be in the daytime. And the fact that the business owners are reinvesting, that the people who are out there graft really hard in the heat. It's hard physical work. Even walking across hot sand with a tray of drinks is physically quite hard work. And
yes, I know what you mean. Yeah.
I was just so impressed with how they're all still there, they're all still working, they're all still improving things. And there are these people who've come from places like Albania, and they've sometimes had to walk to get there. You hear stories of whole families walking from these Eastern European countries to go and find work in the tourist hotspots, and they know that if they do anything wrong. In fact, one night we saw more police I've never seen more than 2 policemen in Stupa ever, and there was about 5 one night, and they were rounding up workers without papers. And 2 of the guys from the bar that we were sitting in having a cocktail were brought out, and somebody came running down the road with their papers to prove that they were legitimately there. And I just thought, my God, the fear that these people must feel if they were sent back to their own country and then had to walk from Albania to Greece again. I mean, we have no idea how lucky we are until you.
We do not. I totally agree with you. And we take so much for granted. It's good to see things like that now and again and get a perspective, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was really interesting for Phoebe to see people of her age. We got talking to one of the girls who was serving us cocktails, and she said she just graduated that day. She had a day off the day before, and we said, where were you? And she said, I graduated. And I said, well, where was that? University of Sparta. So it was up, 400 kilometres away. And I
Yeah.
said, what do you do? And she said, I'm a kindergarten teacher now. I said, is there any work around here for that? She said, no, so I'll just carry on working in the bar. But,
Yeah.
got a degree and worked her ass off and is still working her ass off.
Yeah. So actually, we're impressed by graft, aren't we?
Yeah.
And people who will travel. It goes back to the opportunity thing. That second book that I didn't like as much. He found himself in a hostel when he was 19. And many people, when you're in a low place, will stay there, and some people will get on their bike or on their feet and move to where the opportunity is.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking to her, and I said, if you came to England, I'm sure you'd get work as a kindergarten teacher, qualified.
Yes, I think that's probably true, actually.
And so she's, she's thinking about that now. But in the meantime, she's toiling across the hot sand with cocktails for the likes of us.
Yes.
And
well, I think that's also quite a nice idea when you're that age, isn't it?
Anyway, that's us for this week. So thank you very much, Judith, as always, for the talk. And we'll speak to everyone next week.
Okay, bye for now.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.